Yo,
Bonjour, bro.
je m'appelle Vivi.
Bienvenue à le Trying to Get Jacked. À le podcast de Trying to Get Jacked.
Amazing. That
I
means welcome
prac
to the podcast.
Yeah, I practiced that today. I was driving. I was like, yo, what if we did it in French?
You
I
trying to
was like,
impress Almond?
shit. I was like, yo, I gotta flex on this guy. Gotta show him I know some French too, you know?
Almond's in Paris right now, yeah. But
Oh, jeez.
but yeah, guys, welcome to the podcast in French and in English. Surprisingly, I'm the English person. I'm never an English person in my group. They always talk shit about my English, so it's good to be the English person in this case. Um, but yeah, this is episode 50 plus.
51, 52.
52 maybe, yo. Yeah, I think it's 52. 53 maybe. We'll see. Hint, hint. Might be another one coming out.
Has it been a year since we've been doing this?
I think so, right? Last November?
Is that when we started?
I think so. I can actually check. Let me check. That's a really good question. I'm not gonna
Because I know like we've been there's a couple weeks where we haven't posted, and then there's weeks where we post multiple times. So I'm not sure
yeah.
where like 52 sounds like, oh, maybe 52 weeks, right? But
Yeah.
when was
Let's
the first
see.
episode of the Trying to Get Jacked podcast?
Uh exactly 1 year ago actually.
No way.
Yeah, it's well not exactly. It just says like 1 year ago on the thing, but I don't know what date this is. What's this date?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 1 year because the second episode is 11 months ago. Welcome to Jack.
Damn.
And that time actually, we progressed the quality. The first two episodes were straight speaker view. So like whoever talks, their screen pops up. And then the third one is like this gallery view.
Yo, guys, 2025 studio incoming or like better camera quality or something, mic income. Something is gonna
Some
come this year, this
something's
next
coming.
year.
I was actually just talking to Munraj yesterday, and then today it was Dave, and he was mentioning there's like a unit available in his wife's building, and it's like I
Oh
think
God.
16 or 1700 square foot. I think it's I don't know monthly costs probably like 35 or something like that or 45 with everything. But I was tempted, yeah. I was like,
Bro, I think we need to we're gonna have to pull the trigger on some sort of production quality, whether it's camera, even like the backgrounds. Like I know my background today is different, but like usually both our backgrounds are just mad, like there's big stuff going around.
us, yeah.
But it'll
Even
be
the
good.
quality.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Even like I was listening to it on actually when you listen to it in the car, it sounds fine. Headphones
Mm-hmm.
wise, actually the quality of like the sound is okay. It's not
Mm-hmm.
as like crispy. But like on the view, like the video quality, I feel like when
Mm-hmm.
you open it up, it's like a little blurry per se. Not blurry, but like it's not as like high quality, you know?
Yeah, 100%. If you guys are listening and you guys have thought of things that can make this better in terms of audio, in terms of video, in terms of things we talk about, how we structure the podcast, I think you guys over the course of our maybe the past few weeks, like we've kind of changed up how we did things and we're playing around with different things. So if you guys like it, let us know. If you guys don't like it, want us to just go back to when we just like talk random shit, let us know. But your feedback is important to us in terms of how we kind of go about this. Even if you feel like you're the only one listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
your input still matters because, yo, at least you're listening to a podcast and you guys tune into us every single week. So give us some feedback where you can. And that way we can make sure we're continuing to entertain, educate, and give you guys the most value as well.
Yeah. And the feedback could also include like, yo, we like whatever you guys are already doing.
Mhm.
Right?
Exactly.
Because that really validates some stuff instead of us overthinking and be like, we gotta change this, we gotta change this, because we think we
Yeah,
need to change. Because sometimes like people just might like the stuff how it is, just raw, right? So,
100%.
but quality 100%. I think we want to improve that for ourselves. Like it needs to be a little bit better, and then especially when you clip it on like Instagram and stuff, you want to make it look more high quality, right? So, just,
100%.
but anyways, what's going on, bro? Where you at right now?
Yo, I'm in Hamilton, Crackhead City. No,
My
is it?
sister used to go to
Maybe.
university there, but.
Oh, my sister used to go here too, actually.
She went for a year and then she was like, I can't do it.
No way.
Too many old people, apparently.
Bro, my sister used to live like maybe down the street from where I'm at right now.
Okay.
And there was a park across the street and it
Yeah.
was a full homeless like in camp like tents everywhere. Like just
Yeah.
like right across the street. Like she could look out her window and see them, right? And then I think it was she moved in like September And by November, beside the park, there's like a public school.
Okay.
It's like a little bit further down. So the cops
Okay.
came in, they shut all that shit down. I'm like, that's
Damn.
mental, bro. But there's so many
Okay.
homeless people here compared to like anywhere else in I'd say Ontario or Canada,
Yeah, I think so.
the highest. It's
Question on
crazy.
that. When like a homeless person approaches you, like how do you react?
Um, it depends on what I have.
Yeah.
Depends on what you mean by approach. Like,
Like say like okay, let's all common is like when you're like on the highway, right?
okay,
You're about to turn left or whatever, and the guy's like asking for money. Like, what do you do there?
so Sandalwood and Bovaird, I drive by. There
Yeah,
was this one homeless guy there for I think a good part of a year over the summer.
yeah,
That guy, he looked like the nicest person I ever met. I don't know what it's about him. He just looked mad genuine. One time I went
yeah,
to pump gas at a gas station like down the street from there, and he was
yeah,
there like getting food. I'm like, okay, at least this guy's using money to like get whatever. So like usually if I see him, I'll give him like if I have change, I'll give him change. Um, I tried to give him a hat one time because one time I pulled up, I was like, yo, do you need anything? This guy's like,
yeah,
yo, if I had a hat, it'd be sick, right? I'm like, fuck, I didn't have, usually I have a bunch of hats in my car, like a beanie. I'm like,
yeah,
damn, what I gave it. So now I drive by and try to see this guy. So I would usually give him the hat. But if I have change, I'll usually give change unless they look like a fucking crackhead. They look like someone that's like on some shit. I'm like, yo, fuck you, bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Just because, bro, like I know sometimes I do this. I'm getting better at it, but like when they're like approaching you or like approaching your car, you just like start looking away. You just start looking in a different direction. Like you don't want to make eye contact with them because it feels
I
like
don't
weird.
feel,
I
do you
know,
feel
but
bad about that?
I don't feel bad about it, but I'm just like, oh fuck, man. Like it's a human being, right? Because at the end of the day, there might be obviously different circumstances, whatever it is. But then I feel like weird if I'm not like acknowledging them because they still exist as a human, right? But I don't think it's like a bad thing per se. But I'm getting better at like I don't have anything, and I'm just listen going forward, right? So
I guess it also depends on my mood going into that situation too, right? Like if I'm
yes,
in a
yeah,
good mood, I guess like I try to like give. If
yeah,
I'm in a bad mood sometimes, I try to like give too. I'm like, yo, this is I don't consider it karma, like yo, my day's getting better. I'm like, yo, let me
yeah,
just give something to this person if I have it, right?
100%.
If they seem like a dick or if they're just like mad tweaked out, I'm like, yo, fuck you, bro. I'm not giving you you don't even deserve my attention. You can go the fuck
Yeah,
off.
I
Right?
saw
So it
the
really depends.
I saw the most wildest shit, bro. I think this was Highway 27, like coming off that highway, going into Brampton. You know Highway 7? So like on that intersection, the homeless guy, like I know his name and I went to high school with him. It was fried. I like and like you know what's fried? Like a double check. Like I was like, yo, is this happening? Like I literally sat beside him in French class. And I was like, what just happened, bro? And then like thing is, 3 weeks later I went on the highway again, going in the same spot. I was like, yo, this is mental, bro. Right? And then I didn't even know how to react. I didn't even know how to say anything, but that's what I was just like, it gives you so much perspective, like how like
Yeah.
less of a life we have, especially in this season, right? Like November, December, like family and like all that stuff. Everyone's like more slowing down, having dinners. Like US, whoever's listening from the US, happy Thanksgiving yesterday, or whenever this comes out, but happy Thanksgiving. But this season in general, like people are giving gifts and like spending time with loved ones, things like that. So that's the only time I know I'm not supposed to feel bad or whatever, or like feel guilty per se, but I'm like, fuck man, I wish I could have done more.
No, I think
Yeah.
you can. I don't think it
Yeah.
made like it's not bad to feel bad for someone. With
Yeah.
that being said, like you don't want to say it's always there. Like
Yeah.
everyone has a responsibility to play in the future of their lives, regardless of
For
if
sure.
it's impacted by something else or whatever that happens. Like
Yeah.
you do have a role to accept what's going on and make that change, right?
100%. This
Have you
okay,
ever
so
have you ever thought about what you would do if you're homeless?
I have not thought about that.
Loki, I think I would like think I'd be sick, yo. I think I could just get off the street mad fast.
What
Just
do you mean?
like start flipping shit. Like you see the TikTok of the guys like buy things for 1 cent and then they sell it for
Yeah,
five
yeah,
dollars
yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
I'm like, bro, I don't think I can do that. Come on.
Yeah. I
I
feel
think
like, yeah, I don't know. I've never been in that situation, right?
obviously easier said from the outside looking
For
in
sure.
than
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
if someone is homeless listening to this and they're like, yo, what a piece of shit. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But
Sorry. Yeah.
at the same time, bro, I think we're built different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like again, caveat being like whatever the circumstances that had led to that point. Like, some people like, it could go crazy. I was watching a show like The Rookie, and there was a homeless person, and she was homeless for 10 years because 10 years ago she like did a hit and run, and the girl she hit became paralyzed, and then she couldn't like take the fact that she hit her, and she didn't remember to go to the police station. But then after that, her mentally she just went crazy, and then she was homeless ever since then. And then 10 years later, she finally got caught because she had the picture of the girl she hit in her pocket. Obviously, this is a made up situation. I think, I don't know, right? But then this person mentally was so like guilty that like I just can't do anything. Every time I would do something, I would think like I'm guilty. So again, the caveat being if that person is homeless, they've gone through something mentally traumatic. But yeah, that's a good scenario to talk
Yeah.
about, right? Like say like you had nothing, or to start with the bottom, whatever. And we got lucky enough that our parents kind of set us a good base and everything. You have good responsibilities, opportunities, all that stuff. But I think like opportunities nowadays, even though they may seem a lot of the job market, people talk about how they're scarce and stuff. I think if I had to like reset everything and like get like a new job, we can maybe talk about that instead. Um, it could be like I think the way I would kind of approach it now, what I've learned is like uh maybe LinkedIn is a good opportunity, but also building mad relationships. Like just like going to places and like just talking to people and not like forcing the networking, right? But like talking, telling people, and you've read that book too, How to Effectively Communicate and Influence People, right? I think that's what is it, Dale Carnegie, right? Maybe or Maxwell.
Yeah, how to
Yep,
win
yep.
friends and
That
influence
one.
people, right?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is like how can you start adding value to whatever job or place you want, right? So if you want to be like a accountant, and so you can go to people and say, yeah, like I've done my accounting degree, I've created like a bunch of spreadsheets, I do my own finances this way, I do my parents' taxes, I do this, this, this. If you're just starting out, no job whatsoever, and then talking about like, hey, this is how I can add value, and maybe even be like, yo, can I just add that value for free for a couple months, see how you guys like me, right? And then just like you said on the side, maybe start doing some flipping or using different analytical skills that you already have developed, and then taking that route maybe, right? But like forcing the opportunity, because like I was talking to my cousin the other day, he came over, looking for a job, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just relying on my dad's network. Like I told him like I want a job, and my dad's been telling his colleagues. I'm like, what are you doing about it?" He's like, "I gave him my resume and cover letter." I was like, bro, it doesn't like even me back in 2016 when I was looking at a co-op job in accounting, I applied to 85 places, bro, right? And I got 4 interviews and I didn't get a job. So I worked on Canadian Tire Factory in the summer, which again, like wicked experience because like after that everything was blessed. But like even then I had to 85 jobs. So now it might be like 150 or 200. But then if you can add your touch to like messaging like people on LinkedIn even, like managers, HR people, that can go a long way. Just
Or
force.
even if like if you're working at that factory job, bro, talking to people there because those people know people
Yeah.
and just building that relationship, like you said. Like I was watching, not watching necessarily, but like when you're communicating, yes, you can bring value to someone, but
Yeah.
if it's like someone so outside of your league where you don't understand what they do for work, you don't understand anything
Yeah.
about the industry, the value you can provide to them is just being a good human being, making them smile, making them laugh, like actually giving a shit about them, being curious
Yeah.
about them. And when you do that, like, I don't know if you've seen the memes where it's like, yo, the personality hire at like a workplace.
Okay.
It's like the
I've not
person
seen.
that's like,
Yeah.
you've never seen this. So it's like the person that's in the office
Yeah.
that's like there to brighten the mood. So they're not necessarily like doing anything productive or they don't have the best technical skills per se,
Yeah.
but they're just like they're friends with everyone. They make the
I got
environment better. It's like, yo, they just kind of lighten up the area, right? And it's
you. Mhm.
like, I'm not telling you to not have skills and go be a personality hire, but that goes a long way in terms of like where you want to go, wherever you go, right? Whatever
Yeah.
room you go into, whether it's like wanting to find work or wanting to find a partner, if you're a person that just makes other people feel good or gives to other people outside of like the knowledge you have, but like how people feel when they're with you, I think that's a big thing. Cause like I think
Yeah.
I don't know if this was in How to Win Friends and Influence People, but people don't really remember the things you say, but people remember how you make them feel, right? And that's a big thing when it comes to like if things are going right and you're like, yo, why does this person like me? It's like, oh wait, you probably made them feel a certain way. But it's like, yo, why doesn't this person reciprocate the same energy, or why doesn't this person actually like me per se? It's like, oh, maybe I didn't actually make them feel good about what they're doing, regardless of all the knowledge you've given them or all the technical stuff you've given them. It's like, how did you actually make that person feel? Regardless of what relationship or situation it is, I think that goes a long way, right? Like, think
Yeah.
about that homeless guy I saw. Like, that guy was just mad chill. Like, even when he saw me, like when he spoke, like it was very like chill, right? He'd always say like God bless you, whatever. It's like that leaves a good thing, that leaves a good feeling on the person, right? And that's why you remember
Yeah.
that person, right? It's like that person can have that relationship. If he asked me, he's like, yo, can you get me a job? I'm like, no, but maybe I can ask someone, right? But it's
Yeah.
like stuff like that goes a long way as opposed to not doing anything or not even thinking, not taking that positive step towards something instead of just being neutral. And I think that's where a lot of people are. They're just scared
Yeah.
to take that step outside of neutrality into, okay, let me add something.
Yeah. And the beautiful part about everything you just said is like that's literally in our control. Like that's literally nobody else needs to do anything in that scenario except you. You just have to like amplify whatever you have and just like be a good person, right? So, and I think this is our biggest I've learned this in the training thing. It's like before when I started, I would be like, okay, like I don't have enough knowledge, I gotta learn this, and which is all everything is important, right? But then over time I realized it's like it's a communication game and a relationship game. If the person trusts you, now they're gonna do what you're telling them, and now they're actually gonna get the result, right?
Hmm.
If the person doesn't trust you and you know the exact science behind, how you're gonna drop the next 50 pounds, the guy is not
No
gonna
one
do
gives
it.
a shit. Yeah.
Right? So it's all a relationship game, and every game is same. Like if you, I just actually, I bought a bunch of supplements today, like whey protein, Carbolin, grenade protein bars. Probably go tomorrow again for like creatine and stuff. But I was talking to the Build Ape guy, right? His name is Amin, and we're talking about like just exact same topic, relationships. He's like, yeah, bro, like everyone who comes in, like, I get their number and then I'll like text them personally afterwards saying thank you for even just to buy like just a protein bar even, right? But just a relationship, build a relationship. Even with the Black Friday, like a lot of supplement stores don't actually make much because he's like,
Mhm.
you're cutting the margin like crazy, right? But he's like, the new people that come in, there's more relationships, right? So he's like viewing things as like, okay, I'm sales or like money oriented instead of everything is just relationships. More good relationships you can have. It's like, yo, people are gonna trust you. And then as you actually become more valuable and you learn better skill set per se on the side, combined with that relationship, now is when like you can kind of do what you want to do because you're treating people nice and they want to support you, you know? So, nah,
100%.
that's a massive skill, yeah. Relationship building. Yeah, sick. Okay. How's your training going, bro?
Yo, it's good. What did I do? I did upper body today. That was
Okay.
fire. I worked out
Okay.
at a different gym than I usually do. So a
Okay.
little bit weird.
Still
Yo,
good life?
no, it was City of Brampton gym because I was working out with one of my guys.
I
And
got
I
you.
was like, yo, let's do this. So usually I have like chest supported T-bar row. And because I've
Yeah.
been working out at the good life I have, like it's in like two of my days. So it's like the days I look forward to the most just because I haven't been able to do it for such a long time, right?
Yeah.
So like this day I was like, fuck, I was supposed to have T-bar the cowcell shrugs on the T-bar row.
Okay.
I'm like, shit. So this gym didn't have the chest supported T-bar row, right? So
Okay.
like, damn, like how do I set this up? So usually I get like on the chest supported machine, but like there's just mad old people at this gym at like 11 o'clock, like so many old people. I'm like, yo, this is crazy, but they're all on the machines. So
Yeah.
then I went to the Smith machine. I set up an incline bench on the Smith
Okay.
and I set it so I could do chest supported Smith machine shrugs.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. Very
Did you
interesting
record it?
setup. No, I didn't record it.
Okay.
Yo,
Did
because
you?
I was recording one set of dips, and the guy in the trainer comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, just make sure there's no one in the background." I'm like, "I just recorded that one set. That was like the first thing I recorded." I was like, "Okay, if
Yeah.
this guy's already saying to me about this, he's probably watching me already." So I was like, "I'll just leave it for today then."
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense on the people around you, right? They probably
Yeah,
don't.
but that was a really cool setup.
That's a sick setup, yeah. Incline Smith shrugs.
I don't think I'd do it again like on a consistent basis, just because
Yeah.
like kind of took very long to set up.
That sounds like an Instagram exercise. Like hey guys, you want to blow up your traps? Try this
Try
exact
this.
exercise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exercise. Exercise? Exercise.
Exorcist.
Exercise. Yeah.
But yo,
Actually, that's a
cuts.
yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say my cut is. Thought I plateaued. No, I didn't think I plateaued. My weight stopped moving on the scale.
Okay.
Now I was like, damn, my weight has been at 182 for the past like 2 weeks. It's like went down a little bit, but it hasn't gone up past 182, but it hasn't really gone past like 181, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like looking at my pictures and stuff, things are getting better. So I wasn't really tweaking out per se. I think last week I may have overreacted with the off day fasting. So I was
Yeah.
like, yo, I'll just go back to eating like regular calories. Because I was looking at the average, I'm like, I'm still averaging 1,900 calories, 2,000 calories. I'd rather just
Yeah.
eat that on every single day and it'll be fine, right? So
100%.
this week, I got to Wednesday or Thursday, still at like 181, went
Yeah.
back up to 182. And I'm like, interesting that a lot of times people or even clients, they'd be like, yo, why isn't it working at this point? Right. Like I've been in a calorie deficit, tracking my stuff. I'm getting 14,000 steps a day. I'm still doing cardio multiple times a week. And I'm like, damn, yo, if I was someone that never been through this process before, I would be really frustrated. Even though I look so much better in my pictures, my stomach is flattened out, things are feeling leaner. Now I was like, this is cool to see because the weight's not moving. And then I played the ball on the Wednesday. And next day, the weight went down to like 179.6, which is the same last low weigh in as last week. I'm like, yo,
Mm.
it didn't even go lower than last week. It just stayed the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then the next day, this morning, it went down a little bit lower. And
Okay.
that's just because it stuck with that process for that entire time, right?
Yeah.
And like I think a lot of people get caught up with, oh, why did my weight not go down? Number one, I probably wasn't sleeping the best, right? I wasn't waking up at consistent times. There are days where I'd wake up at like 7:30. There are days where I'd wake up at 5:30, right? Or
Yeah.
9 o'clock or whatever it is. My last meal before, it'd be at different times, right? I'd have different foods. Um, Hydration, activity levels, when I got my steps in, because there were days where I got my 14,000 spread throughout the day. There were
Yeah.
days where I'm like sitting, or not sitting, but on the walking treadmill for like last like
Yeah.
hour and a half of my day, like cranking out my steps. I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
get to 14,000, right? And like that plays a role in like how you hold weight. It's like so many of these different factors go into it. Now I'm like, I remember thinking yesterday, I was like, damn, yo, my scale weight didn't go up. I think in my old me in a position like this, would have been like, yo, fuck it. Let me just grab whatever food. But I was like, yo, why would I do that? I just know it's gonna happen, right? Trust the
Yeah.
process. And now we're at a low weigh-in. So it's just like it's cool to see weight not move, but your body still change in that aspect of that regard.
Yeah. Now, bro, this is so common, right? Because like sometimes, and it's good that you're saying or like you're going through it where like beforehand you drop calories, you get cardio in. Every day you see like a little bit of a lower. And then on a weekly basis, you're like low, 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 right? But now there's other things added to your lifestyle, right? You don't have like just a regulated schedule. You don't, and you even like stress levels, right? They're not regulated anymore.
Hmm.
Responsibilities per se, relatively not as maybe a little bit more than before. But like everything is kind of changed stress wise, health wise, sleep schedule wise, routine wise, right? Which all plays a role in the weight, right? So like I'm the same way where like before it was so predictable. It's like, yo, this if I do this, this is gonna happen. If I do this is gonna happen. But
Hmm.
now it's like, okay, you're playing into if your digestion may not be fully processed if you're waking up at 5 compared to 7:30, right? I take a nice shit at 7:30. If I wake up at 5, I don't take a shit. Yesterday I didn't take a shit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It was fucking weird. And today I took a nice one. So it was like 2 pounds lighter.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So little things like that. Or like now I'm sitting way more, like you were mentioning. And when you sit more, or even if you stand for too long, right, your legs hold on to way more water. It's an actual thing, right? So you're gonna hold that water, you're gonna feel like you're higher in body weight. Or like if you just have like you can go into carbs at night, less carbs in the day, whatever it is, and you can have less carbs one night and be like, oh, I dropped weight or you just play a bunch of ball, you drop weight, right? So
Drop weight. Yeah.
it's cool to like, when you do it, you're like, okay, it's not as predictable anymore, but I know I'm focused on the inputs. You're doing the calories, you're doing the cardio, you're doing the training, things are gonna move, and you just know it's gonna move, right?
And that's why like taking those other measurements, whether it's like you take your waist measurements or you take your arm measurement or taking
Yeah,
progress pictures, it's like, yo, those things are so, so key when it comes to actually contextualizing the numbers, right? Because you can just
yeah,
have the numbers and numbers don't really mean anything unless you put a meaning to them.
yeah,
But you can put the wrong meaning if you don't have the right data or if you don't have all the data, right? You're just like looking at it through like a telescope. Can't really zoom
100%.
out and see the entire picture. Like I
Yeah,
had one of my clients, she's been consistent with tracking her calories. Her steps are good, 10,000. 3 weeks, no change. But first, within the first week, off her waist, 2 inches came off. Next
mm-hmm.
week, half an inch comes off. Third week, another half inch. Her waist is down 3 inches. And then
Crazy.
after 3 weeks is when the scale goes new low. And I
Yeah.
was like, yo, like I told you not to focus on scale. You did the thing. She's like, I was actually really happy I saw the number. And I was like, I was thinking about giving up. And I was like, number one, I don't want you to feel a certain way when you see that number because we've
Yeah.
seen progress objectively here. But it's just like, yes, it's working. But if we just hyper focus on that one thing, this would have never happened. She's like, yo,
100%.
that actually makes a lot of sense. So it's cool.
Yeah, bro, this always comes down to the whole idea of like making it into a lifestyle, right? It's like once you became do shit on a daily basis, and you know you're gonna do it for a long time, you don't question it as much, and you just like make changes after like maybe 3, 4 weeks when you see certain data not going in the direction you want. A similar case. So yesterday, I had my highest weigh-in after show. Yesterday, I weighed in at 160, right?
Oh shit.
Yes, that's the highest weigh-in. And the day before, like 3 days in a row, obviously 500 grams of carbs, like probably like 530 actually. Like 3,700, 3,800 calories every day. And felt mad bloated like the day before. So yesterday was a obviously rest day and lower carbs on that day. Instead of 500, it's like 200. And yesterday at like night, I didn't feel like eating. So like I ate like Greek yogurt and I just called it there because stomach wasn't feeling the best. Today I woke up and like, slept in, didn't put my alarm on either, and woke up at 7:30. Bowel movements went through, back at 158, and just like that, right? The weight went down, but then also in my head I was like forcing food at times when I was like still bloated. Yesterday I didn't force it because I'm like it's gonna ruin my pump, and today I felt the strongest I felt in this specific day. It was like a push and
Nice.
arm day, right? So like sometimes digestion too, we try to force things, but if you just let your digestion kind of get better, you'll notice like nutrients absorb better, distribute better, and then you actually, well, obviously digestion wise, bowel movements are gonna be blessed, but energy starts to get better because your body's not focused on just digesting stuff, right? So like we don't realize how much time we waste or our bodies waste on just digestion, right? So
Hmm.
if you can auto regulate digestion by picking the foods that digest well, that can literally change the physique. And this is why again like different metrics are important. Like even though I'm 158, the I guess I did like a little physique stuff in the posing room today, and the pump was crazy. And like I still look like I'm probably like 153, 154 physique wise, right? So like I'm not putting on that much fluff as much, right? But if I didn't take pictures, I just only looked at scale, I'll be like, oh fuck, I'm top like technically it's 19 days, bro, to the show, right?
Yeah.
19 days and
Yeah.
up 10 pounds, right? So on numbers wise or visually, that's like holy fuck, that's a lot of weight. But looking at pictures, looking at data, looking at performance in the gym, performance is obviously up, but then pictures don't look that drastically like fluffy, right? So
Hmm.
it's important to have other metrics like you were saying. And feeling wise too, bro, like at 440, I feel energized, no? Like, before like it would be like fucking dead. So it's like big things like that is like now I'm focused on feeling better, pumps are better, all these different things that are also progress instead of like constantly the scale, right? And yeah, it's gonna be a common question, conversation we have in 2025, bro. People starting their fitness stuff. It's gonna be like, yo, don't rely on the scale, bro. Please don't rely on the scale that
Yeah.
much,
That's
right?
what, like you said, I think energy is a good one too. Like energy
Yeah,
levels, digestion, like you said, like paying attention to all those things. Like sometimes my clients go, yo, why the fuck is this guy asking me about all this stuff, right? Like you kind of see it when you like ask them or like when you send them a text and they're like, yeah, it's good. Or they'll be like, oh, it's gotten a lot better. And I'm like, oh shit, like you definitely weren't thinking about this. But like when I start off with everyone, I always ask them, like, how's your energy levels? How's your
yeah,
digestion? How are those things, right? And I have like a baseline of like, okay, this is where I know where this person's at. And then when like, oh yeah, it's better. And then I always remind them, I'm like, bro, when we first started, you said you felt like shit most of the time. And they're like, they think about it and like, oh damn, you're right. It's like that's what sort of gets it going into a lifestyle as opposed to just kind of doing it for the transformation per se, which is cool. Like it's not, I
yeah,
wouldn't say like don't chase the transformation, but if you can make
yeah.
that chase that lifestyle, the transformation will come, right?
100%. And like I think having different KPIs, like I'm trying to implement a KPI or like performance indicator of like a fun. Like how much of fun are you having? And like it's hard to kind of track, but like I recently been like one of the couple guys have switched their splits to like a straight bro split. 5 exercises, 3 to 4 sets, 12 to 15 reps. I'm like, yo, just fucking go bonkers. Like overhead press, barbell rows, barbell fucking what's that squat, barbell RDLs, like full body, that kind of session, right? It's rowdy, but like the guy's like, yo, bro, I feel fucking destroyed, but like I feel like I did so much work today. And like I truly enjoyed that session. And then it's like cable flies and then a push up and like incline dumbbell press, like a tricep, like something just crazy absurd. I'm like, let's just see what
Yeah,
happens. And he's like, yo, bro, I feel like reignited again. Like, I feel like, I wasn't getting that pump anymore, or like I didn't feel like training as much. But it's like, yo, everything just feels more better now. So like having like fun also as like a progress tool in the toolkit of like, hey, how can you kickstart some fun? Like, what do you enjoy? And then throw that shit in there, spice it up. That way the fun continues because again, it has to be a lifestyle. You're gonna do it for a long time. So having fun in it is gonna be important as well, right? So it's like, yo, I'm enjoying training again. That's also another indicator of progress, right? Instead of just like the normal basic shit, which is obviously what people come to us for, and we improve that. But all the other domino effects is what makes it a lifestyle because you want to keep
for
doing
sure.
it, right? So yeah.
Speaking of fun, one of my it's gonna sound kind of gay. One of my morning affirmations is to have
Yeah.
fun today. It's like, yo, do something
Oh,
that has fun today.
there you
And
go.
I was listening to it today. I was like, yo, you don't think about having fun until you actually think about having fun. It's like
Yeah.
otherwise, like I would just go through the rest of my day, like I wouldn't really think about it. Now that
Yeah.
like I kind of said this in the morning,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, like I look out for things. Like, yo, I pulled up to this Airbnb. There's like a they had like all the beer pong cups with like the ping pong balls or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, let me just try and shoot it in the cup. So I sat up for
Yeah.
like 3 minutes and I just fucking shot there, stand there,
So
just stood
sick.
it up. I'm like, I could be doing work for the 3 minutes, but like, yo, this is sick. Let me just put it in. Made two shots. I'm like, okay, sick. I'm done. Came here, sat down, started recording this. I'm just like, I wouldn't think about doing that otherwise,
Yeah.
right? Like just keeping your eye open to have fun, regardless of situation. I think it just makes things so much better.
It is that, bro. Like, there's like so many funny ideas in my head right now, and it's like there's so many things I've done where for that exact same reason, it's like how can I make this exact situation more fun, right? Like I remember like even when I was in fucking accounting, right? And I used to do bookkeeping, like accounts receivable or payable, right? And like I would literally like put on like Chief Keef while doing the stuff, like in my headphones, obviously. But I was like, this is fucking jokes, and I was like smiling while doing it, because like the people I worked around, it was like older ladies, and all we talked about was the weather, right? Oh, it's snowing now or it's sunny now. Oh, it's raining today, right? That was the conversation. So everything was blah. I was like, how can I
Yeah.
make this possibly fun or like even enjoy something? And I was like, you know what? I was Chief Keef. And I remember one time the old lady, and this actually goes back to the topic you're talking about, make the environment a little more bright. So like I was just smiling and doing bookkeeping, and she like dropped more papers on my table. And I was like, "Oh, thank you, huh?" And I let Chief Keef fucking blasting in my ears, right? And I was like, "Thank you." And then she was like, "Yo, how you always smiling?" I'm like, I don't know, like, you want me to be angry? Like, what do you want me to do, right? I didn't say anything, so I just kept doing it. And the next day she came and she's like, Ronit, we're talking about you at supper last night. I was like, interesting. I was like, what are you guys talking about? She's like, I was telling my daughter, there's this guy in accounting, and he's always all he's doing is paperwork. Is like really, really boring stuff. But for some reason he's always smiling. We should all be like that. I was like, okay, I'll take that as a compliment,
Yo,
right?
that's fire.
Yeah, and then bro, was it White Lady in Guelph? And I remember when
Yeah.
I first came in Guelph, like white ladies used to be like stare at me like weird. They'd be like, "Yo, who's this weird guy?" Right? But like, and I was the only brown guy in that accounting field too. So like, and I remember the same thing I did when I went in corporate. There's a corporate office for my co-op, and I took James Harden and I cut his beard out, like or like the face out, and I put it on my desk. Right? I was like, "Yo, this is my dog. This will have a beard." Right? And then and bro, like it was so funny because on Google there's a picture of James Harden with a purple turban and the beard.
What
I
the
don't know if you've
fuck?
seen it, right? But I printed that picture and put it on my thing, and I was like, yo, my nickname is Roy Unit because that's what my high school teacher used to call me, Roy Unit, right?
Okay.
So like the whole everyone in the office they're like, yo, I can't pronounce your name probably. Is it Rounit, Rounit, and like some people like Rutin, they like mix up the I and T, whatever it is. I was like, yo, just call me Roy Unit, yo. That's how James Harden, if I was James Harden vibe. And like the whole time I was be calling Roy Unit, right? And bro, everything just like got brighter, you know what I'm saying? Just by changing. And the funny part is my voice is not monotone, right? When I talk, I just like, yo, like so that no one knows I'm joking, right? Like nobody knew like I
Yeah.
was like either joking about something or like I was actually serious about it, which made everything even more funny, right? So that environment, everyone was just like, yo, we like follow each other on Instagram, like we went for like drinks afterwards, like shit
Yeah.
like that. It just made things more fun, even though I was doing accounting. Outside looking in, it's like it's probably a boring job, but you can still make it fun, right? By intentionally making it fun, right? That's where like if I around like to say dad jokes and shit, right? Like it's like, bro, why not? Why wouldn't you? Like there's no option not to, right? So
There is zero downside.
yeah, yeah, literally
Zero
done.
downside.
Yeah. So make things fun.
You know who's been really influencing me to like sort of look at the world that way? So
Manoj?
out of
I'm
so
just
no,
kidding.
not Manoj, bro.
Psych. He'll be like, yo, get to work, bro. Why you at the
You know,
Airbnb?
Tim, I think Slate's Fit Sam's
Oh yeah, yeah,
husband.
Tim. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I watch his stories. Bro, his thing, I think his mantra right now is like best day ever. So whenever he posts something, he's like
Mm,
best day ever. And then one time he was explaining the thing behind it. Is that every
yeah,
day I wake up, I just want to have the best day ever. And
yeah,
like for some like he's been posting about it for a few weeks. I don't think I've ever messaged him about it. But for
yeah,
some
yeah,
reason that has stuck with me. I'm like, yo, make it fun. Just make whatever day you're doing, just think about making it the best day ever. Even if it's the worst fucking day possible.
yeah,
You just think about, okay, yo, my car broke down today. Yo, maybe I was gonna get in an accident and I didn't get in
yeah.
an accident because I did that. Right? Just
I have a
like
car. Yeah,
I have a car. It's like it sounds so corny,
yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
bro, if you just look at it that way, it's like, damn, yo, life just gets so
yeah.
much better.
100%. Bro, I have hacks like that. So that I know I was joking with you guys, but like I seriously do this. Like fist bump myself in the morning, like high
Yeah.
five. It's the same concept of like, yo, today's gonna be a sick day. There's another one. Every time I turn the ass heater on in the gym, I mean in the car, right? I turn it on. I'm like, yo, my life is fucking sick. I have an ass heater in my car. My ass is gonna be on fire right now while it's cold outside, and people are freezing with jackets. Everything is getting dry, and I'm here warming my ass up. Like the life is pretty good. So like those are my two triggers of like, yo, it's gonna be a fun day. It's gonna be sick. The fact that I have these two things, it's gonna that and I used to do this with coffee as well. I gotta get back into it. But when I used to make Nespresso consistently, because like the smell of Nespresso is so good. If anyone had
Mhm.
Nespresso, you guys know what I'm talking about. When you just let it like it's pouring into your cup, bro, it smells so good. You can literally just be there, close your eyes, be like, this is fucking sick. It's not weird, but it's like yo, 5 a.m. and the Nespresso is just getting made.
Yeah,
You
any
know?
coffee smell, but I feel like Nespresso, especially just on roids. Like
Yeah.
when I open my instant coffee and I pour it in, I smell good, bro. I can only imagine what it feels like when it's actual Nespresso pod, right? So
Yeah, and we always get it like during Christmas time. So like the last like 4 or 5 weeks of the year, like maybe we'll get it all year, but sometimes we just get lazy. But end of the year,
yeah,
it's like okay, guaranteed, let's get some Nespresso. And I got in the habit of this actually because Fateh gifted me the Nespresso machine, but then Dave gifted me Nespresso pods for some reason. I was like, okay, sick. So
like
ever since that, I was like, yo, let's just get more and more pods, right? So,
that's fire, yo.
but yeah, have fun, have fun. I know we had some questions, bro, but I don't think. Do you have any questions? You want
No,
to go with questions?
let's go through the questions, Joe. So we have a
Okay.
couple questions for you guys,
Yeah.
or from you guys. First question, we'll start with the easier one that's
Okay.
easier to unpack. Barbells versus dumbbells, what is better for strength or hypertrophy?
Um, I would say strength. You want to go with barbells, obviously, absolute load. If you want to keep it generic or simple, right? But strength is relative. Like you can technically get really strong on dumbbells. Like if you went to Freebird, there's 200 pounds there. So if you just keep working your way up to 200-pound dumbbells, you'll be a fairly strong human being. Only thing is, it's easier to get stronger on a barbell versus dumbbell because of stability factor, right? You're not gonna be as stable on a dumbbell. You'll have to, make sure your shoulders and everything is good, especially when we're talking about like pressing movements. Stability is a big one. But then if you're talking about muscle building, technically speaking, you can get away with even just like barbell Smith machine or something like that. If we're talking about that or just a normal barbell, it's still important for like tension on the muscle because you can load it more. But if you struggle to
Mhm.
feel a muscle group, then like dumbbells would probably be a little bit more ideal just because you can isolate the muscle a little bit better, right? So I would, if you want to generically simplify it, like a bit more muscle focus will be dumbbells because you can go in more range, and then a bit more strength focus, load focus could be like barbells. I would do them both, honestly, but what do you
Yeah,
think?
I think both is if you can find a way to mix both in your program, that's great. I think number one, it's going to come down to, like you said, which one do you enjoy more, right? Which one do you actually want to progress on? Like, do you actually want to get good at barbell bench press? For a long time, I did. And for a lot of other guys out there, like, yo, how much can you bench? That's the big question that they want to sort of get better at. So if that's your question and you're worried about, yo, am I losing out on chest gains? I don't think you should be worried about that because if you're benching properly, and you're doing other stuff with your chest, I think for sure you can sort of max out your bench or your chest strength or your chest hypertrophy, right? But
Sir.
if your thing is like, yo, I just want to get a big chest, just tell me what to do. I don't really care what exercise it is. Then, like you said, I'd probably go with the dumbbell just because you get that more range of motion. The increments to load, I feel like that's what kind of get people kind of fucked up a little bit because if you
Yeah.
don't have 50s and you don't have 55s, you have to go from 50 to 60, which can be a huge jump. Whereas if it's a barbell, you can kind of throw on the 2.5 pound plates. Some people have the 1 pound plates depending on where you go. So I think that's also a thing to consider. With that being
Yeah.
said, long term, it's not really going to matter.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the best hypertrophy, then you're probably better off going with dumbbells. But if you just
Yeah.
want to have fun with it, I think you could definitely have a strong chest program, even with barbell bench as the main fixture. If you have the other stuff around it, pretty solid.
100%. I think a lot of us may not be feeling the barbell as well in our chest because I think like we focus only on the strength component. But if you took a step back and like made it more focused on like the eccentric, the pause, making sure you're not arching like crazy through the low back and only to the upper back even, right? It's like then you can maybe even drive a good amount of hypertrophy out of it. Like some of the biggest, think about it, like if you, we don't want to go into this realm, but like bodybuilders, like Arnold, Frank Zane, all those guys did barbell bench press and had
Mm-hmm.
massive chests, right? So I think nowadays it gets a little bit too broken down into like science. It's like, okay, barbell bench is not optimal for hypertrophy, but like you're looking at top dogs who are already so jacked that for them they
Yeah,
didn't want that little detail for like stage look, right? So now they're switching things out. But yeah, if you do your meat and potatoes, it's gonna work. And then again, meat and potatoes combined with what you enjoy. I don't really enjoy benching that much, so like I do dumbbells, cables, and then like incline Smith I do like, so I threw that in there, right? But if you enjoy it, bro, it's gonna still give you,
perfect. Yeah,
yeah, still give you yield. But
sick. Question number two. Um, I'm assuming this is for hypertrophy, but
okay,
low reps versus high reps.
yeah,
What is better to build muscle to maximize muscle growth?
simple answer both. The rep range is like what 6 to 30 or something. That's what Mike is tell, or like
Yeah,
Jeff
five
Nippard,
five
five to
to
thirty.
infinite or whatever. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you
yeah.
can probably do it on 100 reps if you wanted to. It's just gonna take a lot longer than it would with 30 or 5 reps.
Yeah, I think basic concept to understand progressive tension, progressive stimulus is going to lead to the gains, right? So having that as the pillar of gains, you should be chilling. But yeah, if you want to get in rep ranges, like I would simplify it in the sense like having both in your program, like having some exercises with lower reps or even some sets with lower reps, and then a couple exercises with a little bit higher reps, right? And then you can kind of even break it down into like, okay, if I'm doing something that's more isolated, I can maybe go the higher rep round, right? If I'm doing a bit more like, overhead stretch, tricep extension, or like incline curl, or like, some quad extension, maybe those could be more isolation, but higher reps. And then if you're doing something that's more compound per se, bigger movement which has higher loadability, you can like load it more. You can play around with like that 8 to 12 rep range, or even like 6 to 12. You can even do top set, down set approach, right? But both work. Only thing I think I wouldn't really program anything more than 20 reps for most people. Main reason being most people's cardio is going to give out, and they're
Mhm.
not actually going to stimulate hypertrophy. Muscle is not going to give out, right? It's going to be the actual cardio that's giving out. So that's the thing. That's the only thing I would say. It's like make sure you turn a failure, progress, and then you should be okay.
Yeah, I think that the number one key there is making sure you're training close to failure and making sure you're training intensely enough. And I think for most people listening, unless you trained with someone that's a bit more advanced than you or that has a lot more experience, you're not really gonna know what training to failure feels like.
Yeah.
Like I was training with one of my guys today. He like works out, he knows his way around the gym, but he's never worked out with someone either above his skill level or with someone like an actual trainer, right? So like
Mm,
the big thing I always tell him is like, yo, today we're gonna push the intensity a little bit. I want to see what you got. So like when you
yeah.
stop, I'm gonna tell you when to stop, and you're not gonna stop when you stop. So we're doing like lat pull downs. First
Mm,
set, I didn't say anything. So he's doing a set, like does a set, does it, he gets the last rep, he's like, okay, like it's struggling a little bit, and then he puts it back. Right? I'm like, okay, sick. Next set, I tell you when to stop. And then he
yeah.
goes and he does it. And he's like, where he usually stops, he like stop. He's like waiting for me to tell him to stop. I'm like, no, you got like 5, 6 more. So then he's doing it and he's still doing it all by himself. I'm not even touching the
Mm,
bar, right? And then maybe 3 or 4 later, I'll give him a little bit of help. I'm like, no, you still got 2 more. And I push it a little bit more, right? So I'm like, okay, like helping the bar down. And he stops and he looks at me. He's like, bro, I've never trained that hard before. Now I was like, if you're training that hard, think about it. Obviously, it's a lot on you. I totally get it. And the thing I explained to him was like, bro, if you're training like that on every set, you don't have to do 3, 4 sets. Like think about how much energy that took out of you. You think you could do that 3, 4 times? Hey, looked at me. He's like, absolutely not. I was like, yo, that's why when I train, it's like mostly like 2 sets. Sometimes it's one, maybe it's three, right? But it's like if you're training that hard consistently, you can't do as much and you won't feel like shit after, right? So I think that's the number one thing when it comes to low reps versus high reps is like make sure that intensity is there. If you're training to 20 reps, first 15 reps might not feel like a lot or it might burn a little bit. But I think what they say, the last 5 reps of any set is last
Effective.
5 effective reps. Like
Yeah.
that's what you want to get to, regardless
Yeah.
of if it's a set of 5 or if it's a set of 100. If it's 100, it's just gonna take you a little bit longer to get there.
Yeah.
I've seen some stuff where like high reps generate a bit more fatigue, like you
Mm-hmm.
get a little bit more tired. So maybe that's something to play around with. Something I've been playing around with my own training. I think I told you before is like everything is like under 10, 12 reps. Nothing is over
Mm.
that, right? Like
Okay.
even isolation movements,
Yeah.
barbell curls, 4 to 8 reps, 6 to 10 reps max, right? Most of my
Yeah.
compounds is like 4 to 8. And I was like, let me just train to failure within there, see how it goes. I won't do anything over 12. I think the only thing I have at 12 reps is my cable crunches, just
Okay.
because I want to, like, it's kind of hard. If I max out the stack, then I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, fuck, like I can't really do anything else, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the only
Yeah.
thing where it's a little bit higher. But I'm playing on that, see how that goes. It feels really good, energy level wise. Obviously, it's only been like 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't feel super fatigued. Like I can go crush the next workout right after. Um, but yeah, I think intensity is the number one thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just have fun with it and make sure like your form is good, your
Yeah.
tempo is good, your execution is good. Like those are probably bigger things to worry about. I think on a general level, when it comes to reps, if you're more on the beginner side, you're probably better off doing the more reps, closer
Mm-hmm.
in that 10 to 20 rep range,
Yeah.
because it'll allow you to learn the exercise a lot better and it'll give you more
100%.
repetitions at that, right? So if it's like a chest press, you're probably better off doing 10 to 20 reps with a little bit lighter weights and getting close to that failure as opposed to doing 5 reps and it's like the shittiest form. You're not really, your body isn't really learning it, right? That muscle
Yeah.
memory isn't really happening. So that's the
Yeah.
only thing there. And then as you get more intense, you can kind of go the other way and go towards that lower rep range.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to like repeat as you get better at the movements. That's when you can
Mm-hmm.
lower the rep ranges. Because like you are doing the way you're doing it is because you're pretty, in your form. You're like, okay, this is how I'm doing it, and my form is pretty good on those exercises, right? But yeah, if somebody's starting out, like their form may not be that good, so doing a bit more reps and sets even just to learn the movement pattern can go a
For
long
sure.
way. I think another benefit of doing high reps, which I'm in the case right now, like I have everything at 12 to 15 even like barbell RDLs and like squats,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And main reasoning for that is I'm transitioning out of like a competition time or like hard cut. So my ego needs to stay in check. So doing higher reps, I can't go that heavy, right? But I'm still getting a good stimulus. So it's like playing a little role of like a constraint in place where I can't send it too much, but I can still get intense with the sessions without going too ham on the weight, right? Just making sure my body relearns the movements and everything. Only thing I would say is if someone is really want to like relearn a movement or like learn a specific pattern like squatting, benching, then not focusing on failure but doing like maybe like couple sets like 3 4 sets but lower reps like 4 to 6
Yeah.
even, but not focused on weight, focused on form, could be a nice approach to learn, but then everything else could be high reps, high volume, and you send it, right?
Yeah, if you're trying to get good at a particular movement, like they say for powerlifting, if you're training at failure all the time, you're not progressing. You're just
Yeah,
testing, right? And
that is
that's a
true.
big thing because
Yeah,
you'll just get gassed. You won't be doing it properly, and the worse your form is, the more inefficient you're doing the lift, which is going to make you more tired after. You're going to start to feel more shit where you probably shouldn't be feeling it, right?
yeah,
So that's a big thing. It's like if you're training for strength and you're training to get better at a particular exercise, then maybe going to RPE 10 or going to send it on that exercise every single time usually
yeah,
is not beneficial, right?
100%. Okay, last question.
Last question. How do you escape the skinny fat curse?
This is your question, bro. You answer this one. What's the breakdown?
So I think it really depends.
Define skinny fat first.
Okay, skinny fat, you don't have a lot of muscle on you, or you don't have enough muscle on you, but you have a decent amount of fat. So typically what this person looks like is they're really small in the arms. They don't have a lot of chest definition. There's no shoulder definition. With the shirt on, they look kind of skinny, But then once they take their shirt off, like it just looks like you just see tits, like belly, the man moves. You're like, oh, this person doesn't look that good, right? But like
Yeah.
with the like you usually keep your shirt on the entire time. You don't really take your shirt off. Like that's something I went through for most of my like beginning,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what
Okay.
it looked like, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I find working mostly with like typically as coaches, you work with people that are kind of from the same situation as you, right? Because
Yeah.
they can relate to your story a lot better. So when I'm
Yeah.
working with guys like this, the play 90, I'd say 85 to 90% of the time is to typically go into a little bit either of a maintenance or like a slight deficit,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
That
And
makes
the
sense.
reason for that is typically their training age or how long they've been training for is quite low. Their gym experience isn't the greatest, right? Maybe like a year, maybe here and there. They've been training for like 5, 6 years, but it just hasn't been very consistent. They haven't been doing things very well. There's no structure to what they're doing in the gym. They're not training very hard. In a situation like that, which is where most skinny fat guys come to play, I would say be in a slight deficit with your nutrition, focus on really high protein, and focus on progressive overload and proper training, whether it comes to, like we talked about, intensity, proper form, making sure you're covering well, moving a lot more. I think that's a big key, right? Typically, when it comes to skinny fat, these people are sedentary, they're working office jobs, or they're getting like less than 3, 4,000 steps a day. It's
Yeah.
like if you were skinny, or if you weren't skinny fat and you just moved a lot more, you'd just be skinny, right? Because they're just very, very active. You didn't like just because the activity levels are so low, it makes you more prone to that skinny fatness because you're just not moving a lot, right? You're not burning a lot of calories. So the play would be to get your movements up, right?
Okay.
Number two, eat in a slight deficit with a lot of protein, probably close to
Okay.
body weight, or at least body weight, I would say. And then training hard, minimum 3 times a week, but ideally four. If you can get five, great. But somewhere between 3 to 5 sessions in and
Sick.
consistently making progress, right?
Okay.
And then I think a big thing with skinny fat guys is like progress pictures and measurements are key because that weight might not change because
Yeah.
you might be filling out a muscle, you might be burning fat. Typically, when you're skinny fat, you look at the number on the scale and you look at a BMI chart and it says you're healthy or it says you're in a good range, and you're like, yo, like, should I even cut? Do I even bulk? Like, if I bulk, I'm just gonna get even fatter. If I cut, I'm just gonna look super, super skinny. I'm not even gonna be in this range anymore. Like, where do I get to? And that's why the scale can kind of lie to you there if you don't have all the other um sort of like we talked about, the
Boxes.
variables boxes ticked off. So making sure
Yeah.
you're taking measurements, taking progress pictures is a big, big thing for that. Because you
Yeah.
can, when, like we talked about at the beginning, if someone's going through a weight loss journey and they're trying to lose weight and the scale's not going down, there's so many other things at play, right? And when you're skinny fat and you're already doubting, oh, should I be cutting? Oh, should I be bulking? And you're like, okay, let me try cutting, and the weight's not going down. You'd be like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? That's what I dealt with for a long time. Where I was like, yo, let me bulk, and the weight number on the scale goes up. I look at the pictures, I'm like, yo, like look like shit. What the fuck is going on? Right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's where taking those things and understanding what's kind of going on and giving it time. I think that's the biggest thing. It's probably gonna take you a lot longer to get out of skinny fat than it is for someone to lose like 20, 30 pounds if they have a solid frame of muscle, because it's just like
100%.
building muscle takes time. That's
Yeah.
the big thing with that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things to realize where like instead of even reframing the word of like instead of thinking about bulking, thinking about I'm just gonna be in a gaining muscle or muscle gaining phase, right? And you can gain muscle now. So many studies, we've covered this so many times. You can gain muscle while eating at maintenance and maintaining your body weight. Muscle tissue is derived from resistance training, tension on the muscle, more tension over time, progressive tension over time. So you can gain muscle, and how you aid that muscle gain is, like you just said, eating around maintenance, having protein with your body weight. You can put a little bit more carbohydrates around your training, right? But then again, taking pictures and measurements as your cues of making progress along with performance in the gym, right? I'll recommend the same thing. It's like, yeah, just make sure you focus on muscle first. And I guess some people on the scale of like skinny fat, someone could be like
More
much on
fat
more fat
or more skinny.
skinny,
Yeah.
yeah. So like if you're like more on the fat side, maybe doing a deficit first, like a slight deficit, but focus on muscle could be the approach for like maybe 10 weeks or something like that, and then just maintain and focus on muscle. But if you're on the skinny side, just focus on the muscle part for like 6 to 12 months at a time, instead of like I'm just trying to get from here to here. Because just have perspective, like it took you 25 years to become skinny fat. Okay. So we're trying to change that. It's gonna take a minute. Okay. But understand that you're not just gonna be able to change that and just, hey bro, I want to turn this into muscle. It doesn't work like that necessarily. You don't like sculpt it like that, but it
Yeah.
can happen over time if you just focus on muscle, muscle, muscle. I remember like scenario, bro. Like I remember how to consult, and this guy's a fucking sick person to work with now. But he came, he's like 135 pounds, 130 pounds, right? And he's like 5'5" or something like that. And he's like, yo, bro, like I wanna lose this lower belly and chest, right? I was like, bro, you're 130 pounds, right? I didn't say that like that, but I was like, okay, like, can you tell me why and like whatnot? He's like, yeah, like I bulked up in the past, and every time like I just can't get rid of this. Like I just want to get rid of this because making me more confident. And like I just don't like it sticking out of my t-shirt, whatnot. And I like in the cause of the cell, I convinced him. I'm like, yo, bro, like I'm telling you, you just need more muscle in those areas. Okay, you need more muscle on your chest. You need more muscle in the core section. You want to have your arms bigger. Right now, your mind is focused on losing, 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 losing. Shift the mind to like, yo, I can maybe have more energy. I can have tighter t-shirts, my arms hugging the sleeve. I can have bigger shoulders. I can have a bigger chest. I can have more energy. I can do more things, which will make me more confident. And I was like, yo, bro, like wintertime anyways, I'm not gonna take your shirt off that often,
Hmm.
right? So it's like you're gonna be filling out clothes, and that's what you want to focus on, right? And then now, like obviously, long story short, he's like, yo, bro, I'm glad we made the decision of like gaining, and he's up like 5, 6, 7 pounds or whatever. But it's like the main focus, muscle, 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 because muscle is what changes the physique, right? Like you said. So yeah, if you're skinny fat, please make muscle the focus, but don't bulk. Don't go into a bulk,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
make muscle the focus. Again, that can be a bit more subjective at times, right? But that's where pictures and measurements help a lot because you may not see the scale move as much, right?
So having I think a second pair of eyes on your pictures as well also helps a lot because like
100%.
I took pictures every week when I first started. Like
Yeah,
I would just be nitpicking, like you said, at those areas. Like, yo, the belly is got going away, tits aren't going away. Like, why is it not working? But it's like, yo, if
yeah,
I looked at the entire picture, if I was like, oh, my arms are getting bigger, this is filling out. That's when you kind of put it together. So if you get a second pair of eyes on your progress pictures, coach is sick. But if you don't have a coach, just ask someone if you're comfortable sharing those pictures with, and
yeah.
it'll go a long way for sure.
100%. Or like try older clothes. See, like try take pictures in different clothing, right? That could start fitting different too, right? See like how different things fit. Or obviously plug trying to get Jack community. The community was popping off this morning, eh? It was going ham.
We're
So
going
much.
crazy in that,
It
yo.
was wild, bro. The guy was trying to throw out the eggs and shit. I was like, bro,
Did
crazy.
you respond to him? I think I responded. I was like, don't throw out the eggs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He messaged me separately too. I was like, yo, bro, relax. It's okay. If you have
Who
eggs,
else? Who else is throwing out eggs, bro? There's like fucking three people
the Raj,
responding. They're
the
like, yo, I throw out the yellow. I'm like, what's wrong? So for context, guys, someone in our community was like, yo, I thought you guys were just asking about egg whites in a carton.
yeah, yeah, that's what he meant. Yeah,
So he's like, yo, what are the egg whites? Like, what does that mean? I'm like, yo, so when there's egg whites in a carton, they
yeah,
just extract the egg whites and they
yeah,
take out the yolk and they put all the
yeah,
egg whites in the carton.
yeah,
And
yeah,
egg
yeah,
whites are just protein. The egg yolk actually has a nutrition and actually has some fats. It actually has the healthy vitamins and omegas and stuff. So they just remove that. So then I think his next question is like, okay, I'm just gonna take the yellow out of the eggs. I'm like, bro, don't do that. Probably not ideal. But I didn't realize it was so popular for people to
yeah.
take the yolks out of their eggs. Like, where do they put it? They just throw it out.
Just throw it out. Yeah, my uncle does the same thing in the U.S. I see him in the morning too. He just like flick it out.
What?
I know, yo, it's rowdy.
That's the tastiest part.
I know, but like if they're like they think, bro, in the brown community, eggs equals high cholesterol, right? So they
Yeah,
think
that's
more
crazy.
eggs are gonna be leading to cholesterol. I was like, don't have that many eggs, right? Let me just cut out eggs. Like I've had clients literally be like, yo, you sure you want me to eat 3 eggs? Like I've heard like
Yeah,
that's
yo, they eat like one egg. They're like, oh my God, too many eggs. I'm like, brother, I know people that eat like six eggs in a sitting for breakfast and they're
yeah,
completely fine, right? It's
yeah.
like
We should talk. We should get
crazy.
Daria on here talk about cholesterol. And that's
Yeah.
that's a good topic. We should talk about. We should just talk about
Dietary
blood pressure.
cholesterol does not
Yeah,
affect blood cholesterol.
yeah. There you go. Good job. But yeah,
There you
those are
go.
questions, right?
I think that was everything. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys got some value. Continue again. I think you guys commented on Ronit's question. So if you have questions, if any of us do a Q&A, let us know. what you want us to cover on the next episode. If you guys enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend. If you know someone that's doing low reps or high reps or tells you high reps is super bad, send it to them. If you have someone wondering, yo, barbells versus dumbbells, which one should I do? Send this podcast to them. If you know a skinny fat motherfucker in your life, send this podcast to them because they're probably wondering exactly what to do. Or if you guys just enjoy the show, you share it with someone. But appreciate you guys. Give us your feedback on how the show is running because that's what we thrive off of. That's how we make this better for you guys. That's how we have more fun with it ourselves. Um, I'll let you carry us to the end.
Bro, that's it. That's I'm not gonna add anything to that. But yeah, if you guys got jacked from this, make sure you let other people get jacked too. So share it. That's all we ask for. And yeah, hope you guys are enjoying the holiday season. And don't overthink. Have some fun time with family, friends. Don't be like, oh, I gotta be on my track or whatever. You can still be on track and have fun. Okay. So have fun, share, and let's get jacked.
Take it easy.